I'm lagging.
1.9.
1.92. 1.92 million.
Probably original to when it was built. That's vinyl, I think. That probably was put in sometime.
Do you have to replace these
after
floors
the
in
fact.
order to make them look like
So if they moved out of this one, I'd redo the hardwood floors. The cabinets, it depends. I'd start showing this one and see if I could rent it and get a like this one probably rents for around 1,100. I'd probably see if I get 1,200 as is. So if I don't have it rented by the time the tenant moves out, once the tenant moves out, then we make the decision as to far as are we going to put new cabinets in or not. They're not beat up, but they are old as the building.
Are they warped? You know, that's what I was looking for. I couldn't tell.
I don't think so. I mean, I haven't checked, and the tenant doesn't complain. So,
Yeah.
Again, this is like bare basic in here. But building like this is better because there's upside potential if you renovate it. When everything's done, like I have another building in Milburn, 5 to 8 units have been renovated. You know, you've got 3 left where there's upside potential. This one, pretty much every single unit.
That's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
Come on. Ask me.
Oh, I was asking if these floors are they like the same as the ones upstairs? Like
So
you all just saying
these floors are the same exact ones in that last apartment. Those ones were refinished, clear coat poly. These ones had a darker stain put on it. I don't like the darker stain because you always see it when it scratches. For your own personal preference, I mean, if it's an apartment, keep it with a clear because you might get away with 1 or 2 tenths with only one. Whereas this, like, I'm gonna have to redo these because you see the scratches and it doesn't look. But this tenant, she's been here 5 years now at least.
Really?
At least 5 years.
So, who's responsible for pest control and filters being changed? Well, you guys aren't filters.
No, it's one central. Yeah.
Most of the buildings we have extermination services once a month. I'll be honest with you, I don't know if this is one of the buildings where I have monthly service just because I don't have issues.
Yeah.
But I don't want to say that for a fact. I'd have to check with my office just
That's
to
okay.
make
The
sure.
resident pays for it, but it's included in
The
the rent.
landlord would pay for that and it's included in the rent. If it's resident specific, bed bugs was like a big epidemic a couple of years ago. And I always used to try and put it on the tenant. The problem is if the tenant didn't want to pay it, I still have the problem, but I still gotta get it done. Otherwise it could go to the rest of the apartments. Knock on wood, I don't have bad tenants in this building. I don't have anything even remotely close to that, so I don't have any bug issues.
So there's no real capitals on this. I mean, the boiler was done. The roof is probably coming towards.
The roof, I would
It's a flat
say,
roof,
you gotta
right?
figure
Couple
like
years.
in the next 10 years, but we had bad winters. Where
And you
every
made it through.
flat roof I had
I
leaked
know.
this past winter. The gutters froze on this building, which I already, whether you guys buy it or not, I've already had the electrician come to put what's called heat wiring in the gutters. Because quite frankly, I don't want to deal with gutters freezing and blowing off the buildings again, which that did happen here last year. I had put new gutters on the one section. This is my first time trying the heat wiring. I'm hoping it's going to work, but you know, it's a little bit of trial and error. Other than that, the landscape is minimal up front. I have it fertilized, but you really need to have a sprinkler in order to have any kind of grass to grow, especially with a summer like this. We did the pavers in the front. I don't like the carpeting in the hallways, but it's still okay. It just doesn't look real pretty. This carpeting
But that's,
probably.
I mean, that's light
Durable.
stuff. You can start doing a floor at a time.
Yeah. I mean, there's the fun stuff, which is the cosmetic stuff that make owners look like $1 million when they come into it. That's what's still left to be done here. This owner, not a bad owner. He owns a lot of real estate, but again, with a kitchen like this, I'd want to rip it out and put new cabinets in, granite, change the appliances. With him, it's okay. This was renting for $1,100 before. Can you rent it for $1,200? Pretty much as is, just painting it and maybe doing the floors. If it goes past that point where you don't have the old tenant moving out and new one moving in, then we'll make the decision as far as putting in new cabinets. And they would be the extent of the ones you saw upstairs, not the real high-end stuff.
He's like, we don't need to rent it, then why?
The market,
He's not
support.
He's not stupid, but the other thing, let's say you were able to renovate this kitchen and bathroom, and then instead of getting $1,200, you get $1,500.
Right.
If you
Can that start increasing over time?
That's where it increases the entire value of
Value,
the
yeah.
building. If you're going, I don't know if your plan is to hold or fix up and then resell, but that's where like the real value is.
The value added.
Correct. The building in Milburn, that's one where that exact example was done. I mean, if you increase the rent by $300, even if you had to spend 15, 300 times 12 divided by a 5 or 6% cap, look at what that added value is to it. Any more questions about this unit, or the windows are all double pane? They were probably done 20 years ago or so. They're not in great shape, but they work and they serve their purpose. What else?
I was looking at the ceilings in the bathroom. This ceiling in the bathroom looks like that one upstairs too. Is this where the paint and stuff just from the ventilation? Would
It's
it
all-
be a big deal to get ventilation out of it?
Well, it's a block building, so
Okay.
anytime
Does
you,
it have a fan in there? Like when you
there's
turn it
no
on?
fan, and that's why your
Is it something we
ceilings,
can add?
you can add it, but you gotta go out through the block, which
Right.
it's a cost.
Right.
You're talking like a big demo drill. It's not a time-consuming process. The right labor. If the tenant cracks the window every time they use the bathroom,
It's
You
fine.
don't have that problem.
you won't have that problem. But trying to tell you can't police a tenant in how
Yeah,
they
yeah.
use their bathroom.
I want to make sure I'm understanding correctly. So for those fans that turn on in the bathroom that just make a bunch of noise,
He's saying
you have to
go
really
the
drill
block.
actually through the exterior?
So they have ones that can
They're
just
kinda self-
recycle.
Yeah.
It's not gonna prevent that though.
It won't prevent that completely.
Okay, gotcha. It would help though, right?
It, help,
Air
it,
circulation.
it helps, but that's not the right way to do it.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
How long has this been on the market?
This building?
Yeah.
About a week or two. This
Okay.
building's gonna excel. The multifamily market's hot right now. I've sold a lot of this. I only deal with a couple of investors, and they all have a lot of real estate. The buildings I have been selling, generally, I show it a couple times, I get an offer, we come to terms, and it goes. The better the location, the quicker the property goes. Most of the time I deal with my own clients. Ellen called me about another building in Bloomfield. That one already went under contract. Not as good of a location as this one. I said, hey, you know what? I just put the numbers together on this one. Let me send them to you and see if you have any interest. I was waiting till this day because a local investor that I deal with, he already has submitted an offer on this. I don't know if it's going to be accepted or not, but I kind of wanted to wait until today to see what happens, showing with you guys to see what happens. But I never know. This could be an educational experience for the both of us. So. Most of the buildings I sell are ones that I manage or have had some kind of prior involvement with. It's tough for me to go to an investor and trust his rent roll, trust his expenses. Everything I'm telling you, I know these buildings like the back of my hand at this point, for the most part.
You guys are managing for 3%,
I manage for 4%, but you can find management out there for 3%.
but for you, so you're running at 4%, and what about like leasing fees, anything else like
Leasing fees, I don't charge leasing fees because I use people either in the building or I use my maintenance staff when they're down here. Again, this particular owner, this is one of 20 different properties he bundles with me. Every property he sells go through me. So I make a little bit of money. The way my business works, I make steady money on the management, which is quite frankly a huge headache, but it's what I have to do. And then come time when these guys buy or sell, they always go through me. Even if it's exclusive, they figure out how to get me paid on buildings that they're buying. And that's where I make money, but I
So
can
it
never,
means to the end, basically.
yeah, I can never bank on that because there's some years where we don't want to sell anything. There's years where we want to sell something every month.
So would you stay on and do the management?
Yeah, this building is easy to manage. I've got great tenants here. I don't have any collections. Somebody asked, I think you asked me if I filed on anybody. I can honestly tell you in the last 5 years, I haven't filed on anybody in this building. The area, there's no bars on any windows or any graffiti or riprap.
I noticed that.
There's three apartments here with like college kids in it. The only mistake one year is I put the wrong group of college kids in and they caused me problems with the other tenants, but it was more me calling their parents and having their parents like come down on them. It's baseball kids. So
Is that something you do for all colleges? Like,
what?
you have to mandate it for anyone?
No, but I'm selective of who I put in now. I kind of look at, I judge real quick by the people who come in and I look at them and I'm like, okay, I shouldn't, but if I think they're like the partying type, I don't want them in this building. I want the kind of
Yes.
geeky, nerdy, serious people that like are carrying books with them and not like.
Yeah. So we want to.
It's important though, because I've got.
Now like a marijuana t-shirt.
You should never judge a book by its cover because you can always be wrong. But that's the only mistake I've really made in the past 5 years. The other thing, when we put the new boiler in, I had a water pipe leak in the basement. Basement's not something I go and check on, you know, when I'm down here once a month, once every couple of weeks, and you're billed quarterly. So last year's water bill was like through the roof because I had this leak that went unnoticed until we got the next bill. Tried to fight it, didn't win, but it is what it is. That's where you got to be careful with things at the time. This building falls right on the borderline of like, do you need a super or don't you need a super? We've never had a super at this building because the garbage men go in the back to pick up the toters. I switched to the toters because we had a dumpster and it was always messy. The toters seem to be working a little bit better, but the garbage could be, I'd like to change the company. It's kind of threatening them at this point with a number of our properties. But that's the only thing I'm really kind of unhappy with. I don't like seeing any garbage anywhere. So the super thing, it helps like if you have a lot of vacancies in a building or there's constant repairs or maintenance issues. I don't have that here, so there's really not a need for even to issue somebody half-month rent off. I don't.
So you handle all the trash and the landscaping and everything?
My company and the maintenance, and we do all that stuff. The landscaper, he's minimal, it's nothing, and this is one of 20 different properties he does for us in this area, so we get preferred rates. Snow removal is a little bit of a pain here because there's no place to put it, but we do it and we figure it out and, you know, just stating the facts.
How are the taxes reassessed in South Orange?
Good
Property
question.
taxes.
I don't really know this particular town off the top of my head. Every year I file for appeal on all our buildings. And then the tax appeal attorney gets back to me usually a couple months later as to which ones he thinks we have a shot at and which ones we don't. To the best of my knowledge, this wasn't one that popped up or we had a chance to reappeal based on the assessment. So I'm not even sure what it is.
I think it's assessed at like $1 million.
Every year when we get the assessment cards, I scan them, I email them to our tax appeal attorney, who's a local guy out of Livingston, and he stays in contact with me throughout the year. It's important to stay on top of that stuff because towns can increase the taxes and all of a sudden you're paying, you know, $6,000–7,000 more and you wonder why.
Okay. So if the tax assessed at purchase or just annual?
They're not allowed to legally assess based on a purchase price.
Okay.
Not saying they don't, but I know, you know, from dealing with the tax appeal attorney that, you know, he's told me that a number of times.
Okay.
Not to say the towns don't do that though.
Okay.
Cool. You guys, what we can do, we can check out the boiler room and the laundry room, and then we'll, again, a couple of us can go see the lady who's been here for 30 years. And
We don't have to do that.
I'd rather not.
There's no
Yeah,
struggle.
I'd rather not.
Okay. You guys want?
Yeah, let's see the boiler.
Yeah.
No.